Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm your host, Ben.
And I'm your co-host, Carissa.
And everyone, hey, welcome back. And I guess I should be saying that from the opposite point of view, but
welcome back, Ben.
Thank you. So we were off for a week there. Hopefully you didn't miss us too much, but we are back and we are good to go for at least the next couple of weeks. And I got to say that we do have another stretch of shows coming up that either will be pre-recorded or best of shows, and that will be the week of November 23rd, which will be, of course, Thanksgiving week and all that good stuff. So, just want to let everyone know that. But for the next 3 weeks, we are all yours. So, everyone, hey, welcome back to the program. Carissa, how have you been?
Pretty good. How are you? How was your trip?
Not bad. Yeah, it was good. It was, and to everyone in Texas who has either visited or is from Houston, I have to say, no offense, that is the most boring city I might have ever been to. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's a couple things there. The Natural Science Museum was amazing. One of the best funded museums I've ever seen. They had amazing showcases there. Houston, which the NASA Houston Mission Control Center was a really fun exploration kind of thing. By the way, they keep cows on campus. Who even knew? I guess I guess NASA was leasing the land to like a rodeo that was going on there, which is pretty peak Texan. Yeah, pretty peak Texan, I gotta say. You got like this full, ready to go Saturn V rocket, and you got a Longhorn steer right next door, and I'm like, sure, why not?
Well, you see, if you run the cows fast enough, and that helps get the rocket into the air, kind of like a kite.
There you go. So the cows actually serve a purpose and all this. Yeah, and I got to say that there were a number of restaurants I really enjoyed and things like that. Galveston was pretty nice from Florida. I'm a little bit biased, so it is what it is. But with good company, it was all. It was a good trip. Just overall, no offense, Houston. Your city was based and founded on oil, and it was not founded on tourism. So I forgive you. I just have to say, there's stuff to do, but especially in the era of COVID, there's not a lot to do. So, that's how my trip went. That's my little recap. And everyone, once again, hope that you didn't miss us too much. And before we get started, computeramerica.com, still up, still running. And hey, we'll be updated shortly with new articles, reviews, show notes, podcasts, anything that we do for Computer America. We will have it up and running here on the program. I thought that, Carissa, because it's our first day back, so much has happened, and while we're not going to revisit the ancient past of technology when it comes to tech news, even going back a couple days, I thought it'd be a good way to reintroduce everyone to the show with just a nice, relaxing computer and technology news segment. So I thought that's how we would get started again.
Absolutely.
All right, perfect. So unless there's anything else, everyone, the elephant in the room here, of course, we are a technology program, not exactly a political program, but let's face it, there's a lot of news concerning the election, and we're going to try to keep it to a minimum, but some stuff does slip through the cracks, and we apologize beforehand if we injure anyone's sensibilities. But yeah, we're going to try to keep it as tech based as possible. So everyone go out and vote. Highly encourage everyone to exercise their civic duty and, of course, their right to vote. So I've been hearing a lot about that and people's inspiring stories about what voting means to them. It's more than just ticking a box. For a lot of people, it took a lot of struggle and strife to actually get that ability. And we highly encourage everyone to do that. So, and also one last thing I need to apologize for, we're getting some work done here on the studio. So if you hear any banging in the background, that's nothing going on in your car. That is currently on our end. So, okay, Carissa, with that being said, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, everyone. Computer and technology news brought to you by Computer America. All right, everyone. So I think that our first story, and Chris has been picking a number of them as well. We're going to look through those here in just a minute. But I thought that for our first story, I wanted to cover the thing I said that I wouldn't. And it's going to be slightly about politics, but this has to do with a hot button issue that is just so prevalent among people, and it involves Facebook and by extension social media in general, but Facebook more so because it has to do with a conservative bias or not. Krista, what have you heard on the issue of social media when it comes to one political party over the other? Like, do you have any kind of feeling for what the disagreement there is with social media?
I mean, I kind of have an idea. I think the point is that, social media can be, manipulated one way direction or the other. So it's kind of important that people are a little more closed with their social media while all this election stuff happens.
Yeah, and so one of the bigger points that they try to make here is that Facebook in particular, and Twitter kind of hedges this a little bit by just saying that we're going to ban kind of political speech and political advertising from our platform. Facebook, on the other hand, because they are the largest social media platform, they had a lot more to deal with. And I got to say that Facebook had an issue, and it has to do with artificial intelligence, which has come up a lot on the show, and it had to do with how they trained their AI, and they gave it the best information that they could, but they were still flagging a number of conservative viewpoints and perspectives as kind of hate speech and as things that needed to be taken down, hidden from view, so on and so forth. And in a lot of cases, it's not every conservative viewpoint is that kind of egregious. It's, again, just a poorly trained artificial intelligence that really led to this. And so we bring up this article from The Verge talking about this, where Mark Zuckerberg himself tried to react to this proactively. And so, again, conservatives at the beginning were being targeted with, kind of flags and, that kind of thing. And to prevent Facebook from coming under more scrutiny, Mark Zuckerberg told his workers to allow pro-Super PAC, pro-Trump Super PAC, pro-Donald Trump, pro-conservative viewpoints to kind of get away with even more spreading of false information, things that were verifiably false. And he accidentally tipped the scales too far, because it is that balancing act where if you go too far, you're covering up all of the conservative viewpoints. And if you go too far the other way, then you are restricting, and this was a story that came out a week ago, was that Facebook was actually restricting traffic to liberal news sites and news organizations and allowing more traffic to go to conservative sites and websites and things like that. Again, he was trying to, his own artificial intelligence that was used to kind of balance the scales and, kind of stop this thing from happening. He tipped it in conservative favor because he felt like it was too aggressive on that side. Now, obviously, conservatives have repeatedly complained about what they see as anti-conservative bias on social media. And of course, the president has rallied against Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google, and the radical left and all that good stuff. And now, again, the evidence shows that at first, there may have been, again, those poorly trained AI that were doing that, but afterwards, Facebook had designed changes to its newsfeed algorithm to reduce the visibility of left-leaning news like Mother Jones, and, Mark Zuckerberg endorsed a plan to, again, promote more conservative views on the platform. Does that all make sense, Chris?
Yeah, why are we pushing for conservative or liberal in the first place, though? Like, if they're not going to do something about both of them, then they shouldn't be messing with it at all, I feel like. Because if they're pushing one or the other, then, like, either way, you're being biased.
Well, here's the problem. They said that, for instance, according to the Post, Facebook removed a strike against Trump Jr. on Instagram, which is, of course, owned by Facebook, that would have led him to being labeled as a repeat offender and could have meant permanent ban under the platform. And it's all about the public image where, Donald Trump Jr. was posting false or misleading statements, and to prevent Facebook from, by their ordinary rules, they would have banned the Instagram account of the president's son. But in doing so, even though it would have been unbiased to let the algorithm, kind of treat everyone the same way and, kind of do that kind of thing, it would have seemed more biased by banning those kinds of accounts and those associated with the president. So
I guess it depends on how you're looking at it, though, because if the algorithm's just following the rules, then the rules are the rules, and sorry, but you shouldn't have broken the rules.
We also have shown, Krista, though, that the algorithm and AI can be trained poorly, and the information that it's based on can also be compromised and just not very good. Now, of course, that's, this whole topic. I bring it up again because obviously, this is a talking point that happens a lot. And there's an even better article that we're not going to get into from the Washington Post saying that I do not subscribe to. But essentially, and we'll link to it, but it's about the repeated failings of social media, and in particular Facebook and Instagram, to bring to task people who bring up false information or misleading comments. So, I know, and trust me, I've heard from a number of our listeners that have said that social media does have that bias against conservatives, and it's what a sticky situation, because telling people they're wrong is one of the quickest ways to get into an argument. But they're wrong. So I think we're going to go ahead and end that there. And Chris, I think we're going to go ahead and transition into a lighter topic. What is the first thing that comes to mind, Krista, when I say Baby Shark?
Do.
Yeah, whatever the melody is supposed to be. Yes, exactly. Well, I have this article here, and it's talking about the most viewed video, and turns out, hey, Baby Shark just claimed the title. And hey, a little bit of fun fact, Chris, if you're really on the pulse of YouTube and YouTube rankings, do you recall what number one was? And yes, it was very popular. You should know the name of it. The former number one.
Was it Gangnam Style?
No. Well, that was it back in 2016. You're a couple years behind.
What's new?
Despacito.
I don't know what new one is.
Despacito. Or, Despacito. I think that's how you say it.
Despacito.
Yes.
Really?
Yes, that was the former number one. And,
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, and today, Baby Shark, yes, the one, the only, the infamous earworm that is that children's song, just claimed number one at 7 6.043, so 7,043,000,000 views. Yeah, it's a kid-friendly video, and it just took it from Despacito. But
Amazing.
but of course, parents wouldn't be surprised that the music industry's greatest hit laid low by the Pink Fong Empire. And they said that, of course, it's too late. Baby Shark is practically as the article puts here, a core memory for those who like Inside Out. Even with the speakers muted, the author couldn't help but have it playing in their head. They say that Baby Shark flew up the charts, and they even have a very nice little infographic that goes back to 2012. Which you can see here, which we can zoom in a little bit more if you're watching the video portion.
Oh my God!
These are the different colors indicate the different songs. The first hit video on YouTube was "Baby" by Justin Bieber, if you recall. Those were simpler times when everyone was just complaining about Justin Bieber. Well, that was the number one back in 2012, and now you can see Gangnam Style back in 2013.
I was way older.
Yeah, and of course, it was still number one back all the way up until 2017. Anyways, Gangnam Style was the first one to hit 2 billion songs, but as you can see from this chart, songs such as, let's see, this one was "See You Again" by, who sang "See You Again" was Wiz Khalifa. There you go. "See You Again" quickly hit it quickly did hit 3 billion and very briefly was the top video. But then Despacito was, well, this graph really shows the power of viral music and how quickly things that have spread, and if nothing else, shows how popular YouTube had gotten, with X amount of new users and the ability for a song to be played over and over and over again. Despacito, in the course of about 6 months, went from 0 views because it was just released all the way up to about 5 billion views. So it's Despacito would be the number one song for a while, but then low under the radar, released sometime in 2016, was Baby Shark, which didn't really hit the mainstream until about 2018, and now 2.5 years, almost 3 years later, Baby Shark. Carissa, I think that is like the real difference, is that a lot of these other songs, they were hits from the beginning. They went viral, they were released, everyone had to go listen to it because it was new, it was great. Baby Shark, for those of you who are parents know this, your kid just doesn't want to listen to it once and go, "Great song, I don't want to listen to that ever again." No, Baby Shark gets played on repeat over and over and over again, and it entertains your kid for days, weeks, months at a time.
It's like the modern peanut butter jelly time.
Yeah, exactly. It's meant to be replayed, and that led to its current success. Again, sitting at about 7.04 billion views after being released like 4 years ago.
I would love to see the demographics to see who is playing these songs on repeat. I wonder if it is just toddlers, or if there are other people involved in this, or if this is a straight toddler demographics right here.
I mean, at least 2 of them are mine. I know that I've Googled Baby Shark to see what is this, and then I Googled it again saying, well, what was it again? And yeah, now I know. But I mean, unfortunately, Google does have like kids accounts that they have, and they don't track that kind of thing. I'm sure that they do have demographics, but the point is, Baby Shark has beaten Despacito as the number one most viewed video on YouTube. And of course, we talked about a number of the others that are still hovering around 3-4 billion views. But check this one out. Videos number 5 and 6, the most viewed videos on YouTube, are also kid songs. So if nothing else, this is going to show that YouTube is becoming an integral part of early childhood development and early childhood, maybe not education, but definitely entertainment. Where back in the day it was television or radio or, whatever, or, Sesame Street on television, that, as Carissa called them, that demographic, that young, those young kids are definitely watching a lot of YouTube, and it shows. So YouTube is free entertainment and has a lot of good content out there for kids. So I thought that'd be a little bit lighter, but as you can see, Baby Shark is going to conquer all of us here before long. So yeah.
Baby Shark for President 2024.
I never considered. By that age, it might even be old enough to do that. Carissa, you sent over a number. Do any of these really catch your attention that we should probably, kind of cover?
I thought this one at the bottom, Fortnite map voting election was interesting because that's just Biden infiltrating once again into gaming.
Well, and Fortnite is very well known. Carissa, first of all, have you played Fortnite?
No, but I know the kids like it.
Yes, the kids. I have played Fortnite. I am not very good because I'm not a very good first-person shooter on keyboard and mouse. I'm getting better, but yeah, it's it is a fun game, and it really revolutionized what it meant for battle royale, and it really did define an entire genre. Fortnite has been doing large events like this for a long time.
Really?
Yeah, and I think it was Fortnite had a virtual concert. Let's see, Fortnite concerts.
Oh, I remember the concert.
Yeah. Let's see, and they've had more since. But let's see, there was the Halloween. They just had the Halloween J Balvin, which just happened like 2 days ago. I think there was Travis Scott. I think was
that sounds right.
Yeah, the Travis Scott one, which let's see, Travis Scott's, and I don't. I mean, it already has like 7 billion views or something like that on YouTube. It drew a lot of people of all audiences to go in there and watch it. So they've done the concert. They've had political announcements go on in there. They've had a lot of different people kind of virtually impose themselves on Fortnite, and then they would throw these large events. And it's good for Fortnite. Of course, it's paid promotion, but it's a completely different kind of advertising to a different demographic. Instead of just having a pop-up come up beforehand or brought to you by so and so, it's a much more I guess kind of grounded way to reach your audience. And I know that Fortnite gets that reputation where why would you even advertise politically on Fortnite? It's full of 12-year-olds. They can't even vote. Not true. They actually do have a very wide audience, and I'm actually for this, Carissa, because it feels like people are, and by people I mean kind of incumbents and politicians, and the ways that people adapt to new forms of media. I mean, the way President Obama campaigned in 2007 and 2008 with social media, people were like, why are you doing social media? It's all about television ads. It's all about newspaper columns. You have to just hit the radio stations with constant back-to-back political advertising. And he took to social media and really energized his base. Now, here we are, 2016, 2012, 2020, social media and elections go hand in hand. Like you can't imagine a viable political campaign that didn't have a very robust social media strategy.
Right.
This feels the same way, where you are going to the audience you want to reach, and instead of asking them to come to you, you're going into their spaces.
It just feels intrusive to me because it's like in this particular instance, obviously it's in game. So that means somebody had to reach out to the creators of Fortnite and somebody had to program that into the game to talk to people. And
sure.
Now if it's in the center square, obviously if you're playing the game, you're going to go past this so many times while you're playing. Eventually you're going to wander up to it. I'm not saying it's not a good tactic. It's a great tactic, but it's more invasive than like the Animal Crossing one, for example, where it was like, okay, Joe Biden's, people just made a little island and here it is. It's so cute. Boop, 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 boop.
And
but this is like
sign.
programmed into the game.
Yeah, and you can have
really
signs and things like that, or T-shirts. But I will say to your point, this map is located in Reboot City. and is promoting campaign message that the environment and economy are connected. And it's a solo player adventure type map that takes 20 to 30 minutes to play and made its debut Friday night. So this is not the full-blown multiplayer, 100 people shooting things, that kind of thing. No, this is a unique experience built within Fortnite that is solo only. So I think they felt the exact same way you did, Carissa, saying that, plastering the multiplayer map with political advertising would have probably been too intrusive, especially for a video game. But they're hoping that this experience is something that people can access if they would like to and have a full, I guess, kind of a fully guided experience. It's not just, kind of open world, I don't know what I'm doing, but it's a fully guided experience.
Right, it's its own side quest, kind of.
Yes. It's its own side quest and its own map and things like that. So they said that the Fortnite map, after players arrive via train at the No Malarkey station, there are 6 challenges related to the Biden-Harris agenda for players to complete. And you can see them here. They can install 5G, I'm not kidding. Build a new research facility at the local historically black college. So that would be, kind of more funded for historically black colleges. Race to collect industrial waste and restore rivers. So environmental. Slide down the colors to get as much ice cream as you can. So yeah, an actual fun part of it. There's an auto factory, and there's the sneaker run, which is Kamala Harris's, and the sneaker run around the city. Yeah, so they have the access code. You can do it here. It looks like Fortnite has been opening these maps, much like your point, Carissa, where there was the island within Animal Crossing. This seems to be much the same way, where there is a code that you can create your own adventure, and you have to access the code to get that exact thing. So it's almost like it's its own sequestered portion of the game.
Well, okay, as long as it's not in like the giant pileup of people and it's not being like forced on people, I guess it's kind of.
I think so. I think so as well. And really, that's how they treated a lot of the other concerts as well. They didn't prevent everyone from. They didn't prevent anyone from playing the game, just like the Avengers and all the advertising that they did with them. You could, you could go into special game modes that have these kinds of things. They're advertising, and yes, this is definitely advertising to a particular audience, especially one as young as, people who play Fortnite. But they're doing it with, I think, if we are throwing darts at the wall and seeing what sticks and what works, this seems to be a good way to go about it. It's not just indoctrination. It's you have to go out of your way to see it. But if you'd like to go see it, then yeah.
And it's there for you.
Absolutely. So honestly, not too bad. And Epic said that the game had about 350 million registered players. The Travis Scott concert in Fortnite drew 12.3 million concurrent players, which Epic claimed was an all-time record for the Battle Royale game. So, as I said before, the Travis Scott, 12.3 million people all sat at their computers to watch a virtual concert. And I don't think that the Biden-Harris campaign is going to draw as many people as that did. But yeah, they obviously they are going to reach out wherever they can.
Absolutely, so, and I mean that's part of the game.
Yeah,
you got to get the word out as much as you possibly can before the special day. Part
of the game, and that special day is tomorrow, everyone. So hopefully, a lot of this, a lot of strange stories, kind of start to lapse. But there you go. Let's go ahead and continue on. Carissa, have you heard, just browsing social media and your Facebook feed and things like that, people complaining about 2020 and how it's been a heck of a year?
That's all you ever see anywhere anymore.
Yeah, it's 2020. Man, 2020 is so long. 2020 is so awful. 2020 is so this, so that. And, well, this article, much the same, saying that, well, to encapsulate what it is, driverless race car sums up 2020 by swerving into a wall for absolutely no reason. So The Autonomous Racing League broadcasted its season beta 1.1 race on Thursday, ideally to showcase the potential of high-speed auto races that don't endanger human drivers. And that's really cool, because if you really think about it, how much do we limit vehicles and cars and races based on human safety and human comfort? You know, you can only take turns going so fast because humans can only control things so fast. If you remove the human element, hey, how cool would it be to have cars that just go as fast as you want and do all that kind of stuff? Well, turns out a car belonging to the team SIT Acronis Autonomous had other ideas, and Acronis, I'm sure, is a sponsor, being the backup system, but still had other ideas per Engadget. One of the engineers behind the self-driving speedsters took to Reddit to explain what happened. It turns out that there is and by the way, if you're watching the video portion, we're going to go ahead and play the video here.
Oh, is there yes?
There is. So we'll play that in the background. Anyways, it turns out that there's an initializing lap before the race, and you can see it there, where essentially it was at the starting line ready to go, and it just kind of veers to the right and just collides with the wall. It was going 0, and it somehow still managed to swerve and hit the wall. It was very impressive. So there you go. So one of the engineers took to Reddit. For some reason, the steering mechanism was locked all the way to the right during this process. So that was when the drivers guide the car to the start line, and I guess someone locked the steering wheel all the way to the right. So it just, and that's what happened. The car
still human error.
Exactly. The humans are still at fault. The car decided to take a detour straight into a barrier on the side of the track. Yeah, and I think they even have another video footage of it from another view, which is
great.
Which is the car sitting there and just it's good video. It's
a great video.
It is ideal. So they said that the engineering went on to call it an extremely rare event. So don't expect to see this every time the robo race or another self-driving league lines up. Still, it just doesn't get more 2020 than an impressive looking machine wrecking itself by veering hard into to the right, despite its better judgment. So,
well, even if you're looking at it front on, when it's stationary, you can see the wheels are kind of turned towards that direction anyway, and nobody noticed that.
Carissa, hindsight's 2020. I know that you can look at this and go, "Wow, that thing's going to go to the right," and it did. But I don't know. Clearly something went wrong here, and again, they're blaming on human intervention.
Not even AI wants to be here anymore. Take me out.
Yeah, even they have had enough, and they're just gonna take a different course. So there you go. Okay, this article takes a little bit longer. We're halfway through the shows, ladies and gentlemen, but this one is I don't have to deal with this because I'm not currently taking any college courses, but from my understanding, obviously students have had to not work from home, but kind of school from home, and there's a lot that goes into taking tests online. A lot of people say that it's so much easier because you can sit there at your computer with the book open next to your keyboard and actually look up the answers for everything. And that is a legitimate concern, that you are testing people when it's supposed to be, kind of what have you recalled, what can you recall, what can you remember, and they are actively looking up the information, which is called cheating. Right. But there's a new software that is trying to tackle this problem, but at the same time is very intrusive. And I can think of like a number of video games, in particular Valorant, which is a product of Riot Games, League of Legends. This relates a little bit to it in this way. I'm saying that Valorant was really they had a bit of a controversy when it was first released because it had like this software that would run in the background. Like you had to have the software running in the background to play this game, and in the background it would determine every process that your computer was running, every place that your computer was communicating to, every action that your computer was taking, essentially it was reading everything about your computer as to prevent any kind of hacking or third-party programs or any kind of cheating mechanism that you may be running on a computer. And of course, for the 0.01% of people, it stopped them from hacking. For the 99.9% of other people, it was invasive spyware that just took every diagnostic of your computer, and that was the end of it. If you had no intention to cheat whatsoever, you essentially had to install spyware on your computer to play this game. That seems to be, kind of sort of related to what's happening here, where students are having to deal with very invasive software just to do something that they have to do. So check this one out. They said that a privacy-minded computer science student preparing to start his first exam at Miami University, this gentleman was concerned in the fall when he learned that two of his professors would require him to use digital proctoring software, Proctorio, and that seems to be the software that is being called into question. And
Proctoria.
Yeah, Proctorio. It is not an invasive medical procedure. Nope, it is. It is virtual proctoring software. They said that the software turns students' computers into powerful watchers, saying that webcams monitor eye and head movement, microphone record noise in the room, and algorithms log how often a test taker moves their mouse, scrolls up and down on a page, and pushes the keys. The software flags any behavior its algorithm deems suspicious for later viewing by the class instructor. So you can think about think about the number of ways that people might try to cheat a closed book exam, maybe having someone behind them off screen reading them answers. The microphone will pick up that there's someone else speaking in the room and they're speaking constantly. It will flag that person as potentially cheating. If they are, the webcam is right in their face, if they see that their eyes are looking off to the side constantly, that would also flag and indicate that maybe their head is turning. That would also indicate that they could potentially be cheating. So many different ways. And of course, maybe if they hadn't, moved their mouse in 4 minutes and suddenly started moving it all over the screen, maybe that could indicate that they were, using another computer to look up answers or things like that. Very invasive. Again, detects every single biometric a computer can pretty much test. And they said that not long after he began airing his concerns, and again, this is just this gentleman that has to use it for his classes, he discovered that his IP address was banned from accessing the company's services. He also received a direct message from the CEO who demanded that he take down the pastebin post down according to a copy. He demanded that he take the pastebin post down, according to a copy of a message that Johnson shared with Motherboard. Johnson, who again is a student, refused to do so and is now waiting to see if Proctorio will follow up with a concrete legal action, as it has done with other critics in recent weeks. So this isn't even like their software is very invasive and students are having a problem with it. It's very invasive. Students have a problem with it. And if you speak out publicly against them, you will be hit with legal action. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's not great. And even still, even if they are tracking all that stuff, they should be if they're already tracking all of that, they should see specifically what you're looking at. So if you're just on Facebook while you're doing that, it should be able to detect that too and not flag you as being cheating.
Well, most exams have it so that the only thing you do during an exam is the exam. And some would say even being on Facebook would be cheating and would be called out. These are, really, if you think about it, students pay hundreds of dollars to take these college courses to earn credits towards their degree. So you're talking about things that are worth hundreds of dollars, and they want to protect that investment. And so they would count looking at another tab as, well, cheating.
Well, I get the protection of your investment, but it's not like these companies are investing in the students. The students are investing money into this class. If the students don't want to pay attention, then that's their problem, I would think.
Of course, but there's also the legitimacy of, actually taking and passing the course and actually earning
That's true.
the credit that they said they have, instead of just having the book open or doing something like that. Anyways, there's been a lot of software in the past that has done things like, prevented copying pasting, preventing other applications or other tabs from being open at the same time. Like, there's little things like that, but this is taking it to another level by utilizing the webcam, mouse, that kind of thing, and like literally having software stare at a student as they're taking a test, saying that if and this is Johnson, the student, saying, if my professors weren't flexible, I'd be completely unable to take exams. It's insane to think that a company or CEO can affect my academic career just for raising concerns. And so, yeah, and they even have a nice little screen cap here of what it looks like, where they have like a little green, yellow, red slider indicator to show that showing that maybe this person is kind of really likely to be navigating away from their tests, or is not performing the keystrokes that a normal person would kind of strike. They are copying pasting more than students usually do. Things like that, and it's very good at detecting, but it could be also overzealous. And so the fact that they even had a study in 2019 that showed that many of the test takers felt a much higher level of anxiety knowing that their webcam was tracking their every movement. Right. So with that being said, they have a statement here saying that suspicion levels Proctorio is intended to be used to uphold academic integrity by discouraging cheating. However, some incidents still occur. When these do happen, Proctorio makes the identification of these cases as simple as possible. One way is through suspicion level. The suspicion level is a percentage that represents low, medium, or high suspicion for an individual's exam attempt. The suspicion level is quickly calculated based on the aggregate frames during the exam that were deemed suspicious or abnormal. If the suspicion level shows a large percentage, then this is an exam attempt that should be considered for further review. Again, they record it. They would send it to your proctor or to your teacher and kind of say, hey, there's a pretty good chance they cheated. Check out the video here. And then, it would be do that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in this article, Motherboard always does very, very in-depth reporting, and they show this one, for instance. They say that how keystrokes are measured and what is considered abnormal. They say that using this in conjunction with record screen could show you if a student is getting information from external sources. Again, this is all to protect academic integrity, but some would say it's going a bit too far. That's the point.
Oh, I would agree.
Yeah.
That seems like it's a bit too far.
Yep. And I would say that maybe if one were to be not comfortable with this, I would hope that they have some kind of alternative way, maybe literally taking it in a Zoom call with other people who would not be comfortable with Proctorio, and taking it in a Zoom call with your professor, sitting in there, just like they would be proctoring in a classroom. They could sit there and watch your screen and proctor you in person. At least then it's not a third-party corporation that you don't know anything about, but it's just your a representative from your school or institution proctoring your exam in person. Maybe an alternative like that would be, kind of useful.
I think so too.
Yeah, it's hard to say what is the best way to go about this. It's a changing environment because making every I was just at a social gathering where someone said that they were like a third year not massage therapist, but physical therapist, and they were going to start working, kind of shadowing people and doing some hands-on work. And then COVID hit, and they're like, okay, all classes are online now. And they had to sit there and go, how am I going to physically manipulate a patient and do that in a video, like, online lesson? And they're like, we have videos that you can watch. And they're like, wait, I'm paying how much money for YouTube videos? It's we're in a quickly changing environment, especially for academia. It's I don't think anyone has the best answer for it yet.
Nope. And especially, depending on how long this goes on too, we're going to have to find different ways to do it. It's just not going to work like this for everyone forever.
Yeah. And by the way, Meltzer Snowflake's chat room, let's assume that efficient typing means the student is cheating. That's a great way to encourage a positive environment for students. I'm sure what he means there is, copying, pasting, and, doing quick keystrokes and things like that. Yeah, even regular things and regular activity could be flagged as, could be flagged as abnormal, because what is considered normal and what is efficient, I mean...
Right, because some people are faster on keyboards than other people are. Like playing video games, you get real fast at typing and real fast at moving your hands and stuff.
Yeah,
so
and being able to copy paste on kind of on the regular. I and of course the best case scenario, if something lies outside what is normal, it gets elevated to, hey, teacher, check this out, this may be cheating, and then the teacher makes the judgment call, but it's a whole nother headache that one has to go through. Yeah, there you go. So
interesting times.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go ahead and continue on here. Let's see, I have a number of other articles here. Let's talk about, not that one at all. All right, just real quick announcement for those of you who hadn't heard. I just heard about this today because I think it was just released a couple of hours ago. Apple. Carissa, you aren't yet nerdy enough. Did you ever see one of Steve Jobs' keynotes for Apple?
I've seen like bits and pieces of them, but I've never like watched one.
Okay, well, his signature move, other than the black turtleneck and the blue jeans, his signature move was that he would come out and, lay out all this information. Everyone think, you'd be good to go. And, the first, second, third time, it's like, whatever, it caught people by surprise, but then it eventually became his style. He would always save something for late in the presentation and go, oh, and one more thing, and then unveil something pretty drastic. He did that with like the iPhone. The iPhone was the one more thing, stuff like that. Well, Apple, even though they just had a keynote in October, looks like they will be hosting an event called a One More Thing event on November 10th. So, they've already released, let's see, they had their Worldwide Developer Conference sometime in like June or July, whatever it was, to, kind of show all of the development side. And then a couple of weeks ago, they had their hardware showcase where they had like the new Apple Watch, the new iPhone 12, I think. Yeah, the iPhone 12, all that good stuff, and the new iPad. But the one more thing, a lot of people are thinking it could be the first Apple Silicon powered Macs, which would mean that, hey, Apple has been saying that they're going to transition away from Intel, and this could be the first time we see, we've already seen like MacBook Airs and things like that, things of that nature have the Apple manufactured processors, but this may be the first time we see it in a full-fledged Mac computer, which would be a pretty big deviation, because again, for the past 16 years it has been Intel that has been powering every single Mac. So just real quick, Apple has already held 2 virtual events this fall, but the company isn't done yet, saying November 10th the company will be holding an event appropriately called One More Thing. Given that the iPad, Apple Watch, and iPhone were the stars of last event, it seems likely that this will focus on Macs, which is again another piece of hardware. They said more specifically, we might get our first look at a Mac running Apple Silicon that is, that people can actually buy. It also seems safe to say that the final version of Mac OS Big Sur will be ready for release as well. So, of course, as I said before, this is the transition away from Intel. They'll be making it themselves. Given the power of Apple's A-series chips in devices like the iPad Pro, it's not a huge surprise that Apple will be fully responsible for its Mac hardware rather than relying on Intel to provide the chips that it's looking for. Still, it'll be a long transition away from Intel. Apple has said that it expects to take about 2 years, and it'll have to keep supporting millions of Intel-based Macs for years to come. As for the hardware that we will see, that's not clear yet. The first Apple Silicon developer kit is a Mac Mini running the A12Z chip, and of course the 2020 iPad Pro. So it would stand to reason if they have a special, like, singular line of Macs that run on their new processors, but overall they're still selling the Intel powered Macs as well. That makes sense to me.
It's going to take time.
Yeah, it'll definitely take time, but this transition, I mean, this would be like if Microsoft said, hey, Microsoft is going to make Microsoft branded processors. It's a very big move, and it could have a lot of benefits for the operating system and I guess kind of the power, efficiency, performance that these machines run on. I wouldn't put it past Apple to mess it up. I have seen Apple do that before, and Apple's ability to make things interoperable is questionable at best. I mean, let's just consider that if you go out and spend $4,000 on an iPhone 12 and a MacBook Pro or MacBook Air, you cannot directly connect these two things because one of them has a USB-C port and the other one only has a USB Type A connector to a Lightning connector. They can't even get their own hardware to operate with each other, out of the box. Now, that's not to say that Apple is not good at what they do, but interoperability is not really their forte. So,
yeah, they could start making adapters and stuff though. But I mean, this gives them a lot of flexibility too. They can add even more stuff than Intel does. They can really innovate this thing if they're the ones working on it. So I can see why they're doing it.
They can, and Apple definitely has the research and development budget to do this. And yes, exactly, the performance. What is that going to look like? Intel has this problem with performance in that they have to put out standards for their chips that work on tens or hundreds of millions of combinations of devices. Everything has to work, and it has to work well. If Apple makes these things exclusively for their own machines and it works exclusively with their own software, they can be a bit more, efficient in the way that they handle certain processes in their operating system, and hey, it could lead to much better performance. I doubt we're going to see any kind of astronomical, Apple's new processors are hitting 6 gigahertz, per thread, and you're good to go. No, but hey, it could be a much more power efficient, and it could be just as fast as an Intel chip, but again, exclusive to an Apple ecosystem and hardware set. So November 10th, mark your calendars. It's going to be something that we'll definitely talk here on the show when that releases. So, okay, Krista, we have time for one, maybe two more. How about we talk about you have one about Intel here, actually, and let's see. Actually, but that's the GPUs, which, man, Intel, if you're listening, love you guys, but man, you guys are definitely in the sticks right now. It is not been an easy year for you guys. So yeah, we're not going to cover that one right now. But let's see. You also have what about the Wayback Machine? What's wrong with this? Okay, so Internet Archive adds fact checks to explain web page takedowns, and I guess it's pretty important because obviously people use the Wayback Machine all the time to really understand what happened back then, where did it go, things like that. And yeah, so John Fingus and Engadget saying that you'll know if a page was pulled down over misinformation. Always important. So, let's go and talk about this. Fact-checking is increasingly a mainstay in the modern internet, and the Internet Archive has started adding fact-checking to and context to Wayback Machine pages to explain just why they were removed. If a page was part of a disinformation campaign or pulled due to a policy violation, a conspicuous yellow banner will explain as much. And these come from factcheck.org, PolitiFact, AP, and the Washington Post. And these are the outlets that will, kind of add credibility to these takedowns, why it was taken down, things like that. The archivist saw the fact checks as striking a balance between historical preservation and acknowledging the problems with resurfacing false information. I guess without the banners, Carissa, it seems like people were able to go back and go, look, the Wayback Machine, they took down this page because they didn't want this information getting out because, so on and so forth. And they could still link to it and see all the information right there. But now they can, if they try to pull that same thing, they can go, they pulled down because they didn't want, it was the truth, and they didn't like the truth. But now you can see that it was part of a concerted false information campaign that might prevent people from using the Wayback Machine as a tool to further push false information, I guess.
Right. And especially with so much misinformation like on the internet now, I guess going back, you kind of want to remove that as well.
For sure. They're saying that it's also striving for neutrality. One banner for context explained that including a page in the Wayback Machine should not be seen as endorsing the content, which is one reason why I love the Wayback Machine. You can go back and see what Computer America looked like when it was first launched in like 2004.
I'm doing that now. I've never seen this website before.
Yeah, it's very true. But it's, the Wayback Machine does not endorse something just because they archive it. No, they archive it because that is their job, and that is what they try to do. The internet of yesteryear that had a lot of GIFs and, were very Comic Sans oriented, that internet is gone, but you can now still go somewhere and see it. But you should not just be like, oh, it's in the Wayback Machine. It was, this is the truth. No, it was just something that happened. It doesn't mean it was truth. So, with that being said, even dead pages are now subject to scrutiny. It may be necessary in the long run, however, saying that it's an acknowledgement that political material on the web rarely exists in a vacuum, and that future visitors might not always know why a page vanished from the live web, quote unquote. So, yeah, it's fact-checking even on the Wayback Machine, which I think, especially for something like an a mission like an archival project like the Internet Archive, very important to add as much information and context as we know it. And much like Wikipedia, you want all the information that you possibly can, but at the same time, you want moderation. You want to make sure that the information is correct. So.
Right, especially there's so much out there. You have to get the good stuff.
For sure. So with that being said, I have a couple more here. So one last story that we're going to wrap up with is, unfortunately, Puerto Rico largely escaped the news cycles lately. They were hit by a massive hurricane back in 2017 or 2018 that pretty much wiped out the entire country and the infrastructure. Well, Monday, the FCC Wireless Competition Board announced that the newly allocated financing part of Stage 2 for Puerto Rico will ensure that every location across Puerto Rico will have access to broadband internet with download speeds of at least 100 megabits per second, with 1/3 of the territory getting 1 gigabit per second. And so for the small price tag of $127 million in funding from the FCC, they will provide over 10 years to two firms. And hopefully, government contracting being what it is, hopefully this doesn't go over budget and over time. But ideally, if everything works out, you're looking at about 1.2 million places across the territory getting, again, at least 100 megabits per second, and in many places, 1 gigabit per second. They said that the announcement is unlikely to satisfy everyone. 3 years after Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico in 2017, the territory is still recovering from natural disaster, and they have a desperate need for broadband internet access across the territory. This is one of those, what happened in Puerto Rico was awful, but if you're going to rebuild the infrastructure and rebuild the country, then, or I should say the state of Puerto Rico, if you're going to rebuild it and invest in the infrastructure, don't cheap out. Do something that will have lasting long-term effects, and this seems like a very, very good start, especially with 1 gigabits per second. That's amazing.
Absolutely. A little late, but it's a good start.
Yeah, for sure. And a little late, over the next 10
lot
years.
late.
Yeah, over the next 10 years, to make that very clear. So everyone,
Yeah.
we're out of time. I want to thank everyone out there for tuning into Computer America. Sorry for the week off, everyone. I hopefully you've been well. And hey, we're back here for another 3 weeks. Everyone, we'll catch you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.